Now, let's get started with Tailwind CSS and get some taste and flavor of it. And then in the next videos, we'll get into more depth for each layer while we're building our application. So, let's put our hands on the code now. Now, let's jump in our main div element which hold all our application. And let's try to add a class here. Let's say we want to add a background. So we start to enter BG and then set for background. And as you can see here, the instances we installed in the last video is helping us out with all the options that Tailwind have. And as you can see, as I'm scrolling, you can see the details in here for the background, how it's calculated. I'm looking for a bit dark, not black, but dark navy background, let's say. Okay, and let's click save and open our browser. As you can see, it's all implemented here. So how the background work, usually you have a BG and then you have here a name of a background. Let's say blue, for example. If I save and go back, you have a blue here. If I say yellow, and you can see here also have some intensity helping to see the color itself. So if I go back here and you can see here, it is this ugly dark yellow. And why it is like that is because of the third value, which is the number. So then this number decides the shade of the color, and it starts from 50 and you keep going up. Okay, so if I go back and I say again BG yellow, you can see here all the numbers, for example. So 50 is very light, and then you have bit of white yellow, and then you have yellow, then getting darker and so on. So I'll go back to my first color I put because I like that color, and we'll keep it like that. So background starts with BG, the color, and then you have the shade or the level of the shade set by a number. Now, let's get into other parts. When, for example, we set up a container, which is like any other project, basically container saying this element, for example, set in this container. You can put, and it can be responsive as well. We enter class name, and we keep it a container. And let's give it a background color. Be gray, and let's give it a bit of color. Okay, let's click save and see what that will do. So you can see here it's taking my whole container. And if I inspect, I see container. That's container, and the moment is 100%. So it's covering up my body at the moment. And the reason it is here, if you come into the documentation, you'll find that container, if it's set alone, then the width will be 100%. But if you add a breakpoints to it, so it will be SM for max width 640, medium for 768, and so on. Okay, let's say we want, for example, to have a maximum width of MD 768. Okay, so what we can do, we can follow this pattern in here, responsive variants. Okay, so what we can do MD 2.container, and of course we have to centralize it. So usually do margin right auto, margin left auto, right? But in Tailwind, if you have right and left, you can just do X. So X for X level, and if it's top and bottom, then you do MY. Okay, so I will go back and we try that. So we do MD container, and then we say MD. I want MX, means right and left. Okay, and you can see it's giving me values, but I want only auto at the moment. Okay, so right auto, left auto. Let's click save, go back to my browser, we open our app, and you can see here, so this is now our container. Okay, and that's how it is at the moment, and it is centralized, right? But as soon you go less than 768 pixels, then it will just fit in the browser. So if you do this, it fits. Okay, so if you can see, to centralize the container, we had to hard code this. Okay, however, if you want all your containers, whenever you say use a container in your application and you want it to be centralized, there is an easy way you can do through configuration. Tailwind configuration, you go under theme, and then what you can do under theme is container, then center and set it to true. We click save, and let's remove our auto for right and left. Click save, go back to our browser, and we can see it's still centered. See that? So we remove the margin right and left, but our container by default it's centered, and whenever we use in the app anywhere we use that class, it will be centered. Now let's play a little bit with our title of our application. So as you can see now, just standard underline, because the first time we did some play around when we installed our Tailwind CSS. Now let's start to actually make it more stand out. So let's start with the font size. So Tailwind have a font sizes built in already, and you can start typing them by text hyphen, and then you can have, for example, XL, and you can see here it's giving you options like XL means font size will be 20 pixels, the line height will be 28. If I do down to XO and so on, even you have S. Let me get back to intellisense. Text small. So you have text small, which will be 14 pixels as a size. But at the moment, I think, let me try 5XL, and let me save it. And I did something. Okay, some extra X came here. And you can see here it came big. That is really big. I don't need that. I need maybe 3XLs. And that looks good for me. Now, that is too light. It's not standing out. Let's make it bold. And for the bold, you don't use text, but use font, because it's about fonts being bold or being medium or being light. Same as you're doing usually standard CSS. It's basically same flow. So font, I will say, and as you can see here, you can already see font light, extra light thing, medium, semi-bold, bold. I'll just say bold, and let's see how that will look. And you can see it's giving me exactly how it's written in CSS. It is font weight 700. And let me click save. And that looks good for me. Okay, that's good. Now let's see the color. I want some more standing out color. And you remember here in the background it's BG. For the text you do text slash, and you write the color name. And let's say I'm very bad at designing, but let's say I want, I don't know, pink. So you can have see the options coming through. So light, bit light, more darker, and so on, and get a bit darker. So I'm not doing actually pink. I'm going to do bold, very dark. And if I do 500 here, you can see it's changing. Okay. But let's be serious a bit now, and let's put a text color. So I just put for now text red with shade 900. Let's make our website black reddish theme. And you can see for now, for example, everything's sticking to the corners. Let's add some padding. And let's add our container for now. And as we did for the margin, so padding start with P, and then you can do PT for P top, you can do PR for P right, PL for PL left, and PB for PB bottom. Or you do P if you want up and right and left and bottom, or PY for up and down, or PX for right and left. Okay, so now I want for everything. So I'll keep it P, and you can see here it's giving me details for each one. So Let's try with something like this P3. Just I want slight split to be far from the corners. I click save. You can see everything have shifted a bit from the corner. So now we have been using a lot of classes in this video, which I've mixed up between different properties like margins, paddings, text, font, backgrounds, colors, and so on. So this just to give you a flavor of Tailwind CSS, but definitely we are going to go in more depth for each and every one in next videos to understand really how they work. And at some point you'll be able to create our own properties, our own classes. We can even change these classes to really match our designs, for example, our project. So just stay tuned and let's see you in the next video.